What's up everybody, it's the Inhuman one here with part 6 of the ultimate 100% guide for Wuchang Fallen Feathers. In this series I will show you how to obtain every single thing in one single playthrough, and of course unlock the Platinum Trophy or 100% of all achievements depending on the platform you are playing on. In the last episode we took on Doom's Willow Beach, and we will now be jumping over to kind of some intermediate areas on our way to Tong Palace. So without further ado, let's go ahead and make sure we have everything equipped and ready to go in preparation for the next part of our journey. So one thing that we did need to change was, of course, the discipline for this particular weapon. We had blink kick, and I got punished for not being able to have changed it, I guess, proactively. So I completely forgot about removing blink kick and changing it out for sword counter, which is the parry that we had invested in. So you can always do that for any weapon you have, but just keep in mind that any individual weapon can have whatever loadout of discipline that you want. That goes for benedictions as well. So just a good little, a good lesson that I wanted to share with you, since it did cost me dearly in the last episode anyway. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna make our way back towards the new area. Let's make sure that we've rested as well. Enter the dream so we can make sure we have the maximum amount of potions and restock everything from our consumables as well, so our flying daggers and everything can be maxed out. Alright, much better. Now we have our additional 2 daggers and our additional mana vase as well, so we're in good shape. We're gonna run back over to this side, and we're gonna make our way straight towards the Tong Palace. Remember that we had unlocked several shortcuts along the way, and then this is just kind of tying everything together all the way back to Shu Sanctum. So really nice how everything is designed in such a way that the world is connected. We might have aggroed some enemies behind us, and then we can just take a look back and make sure the puppies aren't chasing us. There's one. Let's see how far he goes before he leashes. Oh, no leash, huh? Bad boy. Let's take him out. Even though we got hit, our lifesteal pendant is working wonders. We're gonna make our way outside of this shortcut. This is the entryway to the Tong Emperor Palace, and then we're going to make our way up these steps. Alright. So up here, just note that there's going to be some enemies on the inside and a trap here that's going to jingle. If you mess with those coins, you're going to aggro the enemies inside. Instead, we can go around and then just rush them, catch them unawares for the most part, use the lashing whip to take out whoever's behind you, and then we can get this item here. There's no need to continue going along this way. There aren't any items, but as per usual, I do like to show you just because I'm pretty curious, and if I were watching a guide, I would be really OCD about, like, oh man, they didn't go into that corner. What's in that corner? So come back around towards the entrance. We're going to take this enemy out quickly because he is an enemy that can alert others if you let him holler and scream. So we're going to do this right here, use our weapon ability to take out this enemy as well. So after we defeat these 2 enemies, we want to go ahead and prepare for a tougher enemy up ahead. I like to switch to the axe because it has just such great properties in staggering. So what we want to do is quickly approach these stairs, rush behind the enemy, and go for the backstab if you can get it. If you can't, no worries. What we're going to do is we're going to continue attacking as he's rising up here and go for the stagger. Use the weapon ability before he can get up, and then take him out. So that enemy can be quite challenging, but fortunately, because of some of the changes in 1.5, it's a little bit easier to stagger some of the enemies, and just in general, the axe has just some tremendous ability to stagger enemies and interrupt their attacks. This is going to be one of 3 red riddle doors that we're going to be entering throughout the game. So we're going to be going over this in just a moment, but before we actually go over this and talk about how it ties to achievements and also obtaining every single ending in the game, let's go ahead and move forward really quickly and activate a shortcut, just in case that we die at any point in time. So to the left, there's nothing here, just one of these noisy torch users. He's aggroing absolutely nobody at all. There's nobody in the vicinity that can hear him, so don't you worry. Run up these little sandbags up here and grab the item to the right, and then we can release this ladder. And you should recognize that in the previous episode we came from that area, and then just today we came from the shortcut to Tong Palace. So that's the enemy that's there. That's the spearman that typically tries to ambush us. So we've already been there. Now we have a little shortcut, but we're going to return back to that door, and I'm going to kind of instruct you on what best to do so that you can obtain every single thing. So before you do any choice or make any decision with this door, you can go ahead and create a cloud save. And depending on whatever platform you're using, you want to create a backup save for your particular file. And what we're going to do is once you do that, you can make the decision that we're going to talk about here in a moment. If you don't know how to do that, just let me know in the comments down below, and I can either create a short video on how to create a backup save for PlayStation 5 users. There's different choices and ways to do it for PC users, which I am not aware of because I don't use PC. And then Xbox is not, it's something that I do play, but I don't typically mess around with the cloud save so much. But if you need any help on the PlayStation 5, I can certainly do a separate video or walk you through that if you need it. But the thing is, there are 3 riddle doors, and the achievement is tied to answering the 3 doors correctly. There is, however, certain things and consequences for answering them correctly, because sometimes, in particular, the very last door, if you answer that door correctly, you are not allowed to experience an entire area that's optional and has its own boss, and it's even tied to 2 of the major endings of the game. So it is required at the very least for you to go through and play 2 times, or to do some save scumming and have some backup files you can revert back to. But we're going to be going over all the choices here. In this particular instance, for the guide, I am going to show you and tell you every correct answer, but I'm going to make the decisions based on how I want you to experience the game. So I'm going to tell you the correct answer, but in this particular door, for door number 1, we're going to answer it using the alternate choice. So in this instance, the correct answer for the trophy is the Winged Ascension. However, we are going to be picking Feathered Transcendence so that we can be teleported to another area. The Winged Ascension is going to allow you to get a benediction that gives you lasting alacrity. So if you're using spells that have alacrity, it's really nice and helpful to use. Got a great synergy with it, but for the purpose of this particular guide, we're going to go for Feathered Transcendence just because we get some additional interactions with the boatman that are quite unique. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Feathered Transcendence is going to be the alternate answer, and what happens here is that if you get the answer correct, the door simply opens. If you get it incorrect, and I'm using air quotes that you can't see here, then black smoke will consume you and teleport you somewhere. I don't really like to say correct or incorrect, because more often than not, it's really just the answers you need to get right for the trophies, or the answers you need to see additional content. So it's not really more about right or wrong, it's more about what you want to experience. So as we press forward, you got to be very careful, because there's going to be a red eye enemy just around the corner here. And once he kind of finishes his flurry, we'll get behind him, there you go, and go for some R1 spam. We'll do our weapon ability here indoors. Sometimes it doesn't work as great because we have some roof above us, but we get the faint red feather and red mercury essence for our troubles. We're going to grab this item on the other side that he was guarding, and then this room here is actually empty. But we can open the shortcut here. And just to kind of give you an idea of the placement of everything, don't step out too far, but if you can see, there's an enemy up there. They can throw some fire pots at you. We were just on the other side of this lotus pond here, and if you can see that ramp there with the sandbags, that's where we opened up the shortcut. So we're actually just a few paces away, and all we had to do is walk here across this little temple, and then we'd be on the other side where the shortcut is. But we're not going to do that just yet. Instead, we're going to take advantage of the secret that we just activated by getting the alternate answer, or by giving the alternate answer to the red door. So what we're going to do here is see the boatman, grab this item here. He looks like he's digging a grave. Hopefully it's not for us. Let's find out. And we'll chat with him. We can say, "Why are you here?" And he says, "I'm just preparing a grave for those soon to meet their end." So I wonder who's going to be dying next. He gives us some crystallized red mercury and says, and kind of warns us to, I'll let you hear it this time, cross the final threshold and I'll show you where you truly belong. So that is kind of a hint, however ambiguous it may be, to continue answering these doors the same way so that we can interact with him and cross the thresholds. Whereas, aside from just opening the door, that just gives you maybe an immediate reward, but by going through the threshold of these black mist doors, we're learning much, much more than just getting maybe a benediction or something. So we're going to watch for this guy. What we're going to do is we're going to rush here, avoid the explosives, and we're going to rush to the ladder. That way we can take out the ranged enemy and explore to our heart's content. Just so that you know, and if for whatever reason you've sustained lots of damage, you're running really low on mana vases or what have you, after you defeat this enemy, you can rush over here behind this temple and go to a save point. But if not, just follow along and I'll show you what I would consider the more proper way to do it so you can be efficient and optimize your route. So instead of coming here and across the way, I just do want to show you though that this is where we were just at. In fact, I will show you. Don't do this on your walkthrough, but I want you to see where we're at. This, of course, is the noisy guy that was saying, "Oh, alert, alert." So we killed him already previously, and these are the sandbags. That's the shortcut, and this is the entrance that we came from when we circled around, defeated that tough enemy, and then we answered the riddle door. So we're just on the other side of that. So I just want to show you how it connects, because sometimes I feel like when you're first playing through, it gets kind of it can be overwhelming. But we're going to come back and explore everything in due time. All we've done is we were teleported to the other side, which is the vegetable garden area. And we rushed the guy that was throwing fire pots. And now we're going to come back down here and explore very safely. Don't trip any of these because they are tied to explosives. So instead what you want to do is carefully navigate this area. Take out these guys. Mind your stamina, of course. And then you can pick up this item here, which is what they're gonna leave you behind. So you get a niter fire pot. So here, what I typically like to do is rush this enemy. He's sleeping, and you can get a backstab before the torch wielder starts bringing all the attention. That makes quick work of this enemy, and then we can go ahead and take him out if he gets in range. There you go. And that way you took out the more powerful enemy without even having to worry about getting hit. You're managing your health very well, and pretty much we're just kind of using our knowledge to avoid tough encounters. So we get some more upgrade materials, faint red feathers, all the goodies, and we're going to come back down and around this way. Now what we can do is, if you are confident that you can survive a little mini boss fight and you have plenty of vases, we're going to come back around this way to the left. We're going to take out that cuckoo, the Arum feather, and then we're going to come back around this way and prepare for a boss fight. As soon as you cross the threshold of this door, the screen will go black and you're going to fight another Tong Palace Shrine Maiden. So just be very careful because the fight starts pretty suddenly. You don't have tons of time to to really prepare for it, and she's right in your face. So what we're going to do is go ahead and skip the cutscene, which is literally just a black screen. Watch for the dodge here. Tank if you can, so we can knock her down. Go for as many R1 spam combos as possible. There you go. If you can get the backstab, lovely. If not, don't worry about it. We'll go for the weapon ability R1 spam, which is very effective, and now she's dead. So we get the her entire palace made set. We get red mercury essence because she is a red eye enemy, the Hall of Music key, and a brilliant red feather, which is an upgrade, of course, to the upgrade material for our weapons. We open up this chest and we can get some lost remains, which is an upgrade for our mana vase, and then we can read some lore. Pretty much don't drink the water. The water had been contaminated with obviously the feathering, and that's why she went a little crazy. We can get the full-grown red mercury, and then everything else in this area has been cleared. This is our little temple that we had got trapped in, essentially. We can use the Hall of Music key that she just gave us to open the temple door, and then, of course, we're going to be facing the Lotus Pond with the cuckoo that we just killed just right here. So now, with that boss out of the way, the mini-boss anyways, and that is an entirely optional encounter, you can come up here. The reason why I would consider it not optional for our playthrough and our purposes is because we're going for 100%. So nothing's optional in a 100% playthrough, right? We're getting everything. But yeah, you would miss out on the lost remains if you didn't, so ill-advised. Go ahead and equip the Vorpal Blade. It's nice to have because there's going to be a little bamboo guy pretty nearby. So if you want, you can go ahead and activate the shrine. There's not much in terms of danger here, but we're going to go ahead and activate it, and we'll rest at it in due time. We're going to come this way. You see the little bamboozler, and we can press triangle to go ahead and activate our spell. It's got excellent tracking, so it'll take him out. We get the bamboo shoot, and we're one step closer to obtaining all 20, so that we can get the achievement, of course. Alright. Lovely. So there's that third enemy, which of course I wasn't able to point out. He breaks through these crates right there, so just be careful with that. My apologies for not telling you ahead of time. I didn't lock on, and I kept switching lock-ons to those the individuals in there, so it took me way longer than necessary to kill them, but that's fine. I'm a little sloppy today, you have to forgive me. Feeling a little under the weather. We got the Buddha statue there, it's going to act as a key for us. I've had this migraine for about a day and a half now, and my eyeballs feel like little stones in the back of my head. So every time I move my eyes, whether they're closed or not, just lots of discomfort. We're going to come here, turn left, and we're going to grab a spell. This is actually a decent spell to have or use even for this upcoming fight, but I do have one that's slightly better that's going to deal a little bit more damage for the boss we're going to be facing off with. This boss is, of course, Honglan, and Honglan is the kind of what people consider the skill check, but in I guess in retrospect, this boss is more of a knowledge check, and I'll explain why. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and insert the Buddha statue, and we can speak with the Plain Warrioress. Yet again, every time we speak with her, she does grant us a plumed branch, which increases our madness, and she typically just gives us a little bit of a cryptic dialogue that we're just like, what are you talking about, lady? It'll all make sense in due time though, but I'm certainly not going to ruin that for you. Alright, so we can go ahead and enter the dream and level back up if we have any refined mercury essence. We can also ensure that we have the proper temperance, so fire temperance is going to be fine. Let's make sure we have fire, so there we go. Looks like we're all set there. We can go to the impetus repository and see about leveling. We have 2 red mercury essence, so we could consider doing that. Honestly, if we have anything for additional damage, that would be nice. And let's see here. Any additional damage nodes are just beautiful. Something we can consider as well as, let's just make sure. Yeah, so we don't have any additional means to level up the weapon. We need brilliant red feathers here, so we're good. We don't need to take from our axe because it's still using the faint red feathers. Now, if we were to upgrade it further, it would require, of course, the brilliant red feathers, but we're good to go there. What we can do now, honestly, if I just to kind of show you what my thought process is, I'm gonna remove these 2 nodes, and I'm gonna place them in the stamina, because stamina or endurance, as it's called in this game, is going to give us more ability to continue striking. So the more we can strike, that means we have the ability to be on the offensive, and then if we need to have like an emergency dodge or evasive maneuver, we have the ability to do that as well. Aside from that, we did pick up some Lost Remains, so we can further enhance our mana vase. And if there's anything else we're needing that's going to make sense, like for example, if it were something to the effect of like I'll show you even another choice we could make if we really want. If we want to just get rid of that strength node, we could invest as well in something like this, where you get an additional temperance charge. So now if you want to be able to temper your weapon more than once, that's incredibly valuable. Or you could do something like opening up the acupoint. So I'm going to go ahead and make the final choice and show you guys to go ahead and get additional charges, because that does come a long way, honestly. And if you want to go to your temperance, you could see that if we would have gone to invest the other points, there's 3 little nodes that have a little lock on them. You would be able to unlock those, and you could add even more needles. So right now we only have 2 stone needles, so it makes no sense to have another slot open. Instead, it makes much more sense to have an additional charge. Another thing that we could consider, if you wanted to, is if you wanted to go with something like Leech. Leech is going to be pretty solid and effective against Honglan as well, because she deals a decent amount of damage, and we don't have a lot of mana vases at this early point in the game, so you can go with that route as well. I typically just go with fire because it does deal some damage over time, so we're going to be sticking with that for now. But leech is another incredibly viable option. Remember that if you make any improvements or changes to your mana base or anything like that, just go ahead and refresh so you can make sure everything kind of clicks in. We added some temperance, so now we have an additional temperance as well. So we're in excellent shape now. What we can do is we're going to make our way towards the boss, but before we do that, let's make sure that our loadout makes sense. We won't need flying daggers. We want to keep things as simple as possible while we're kind of in the mix, in the fight. We want to change this spell out for the Echo of Lu Bingzhang. The Echo of Lu Bingzhang is really good because it has alacrity, which is the iframes when you're casting, and it is quite powerful, so definitely something we can consider. And then we don't need any of this. Honestly, if we wanted any other spell, the Aurum Feather Force would be okay to use as well. So either one of these are just fine. Honglan does seem susceptible to feathering, so you can always go for this as well. So it's really just a matter of preference. When it comes to the pendants, you can see what is going to increase maybe any kind of attack power. So if we're using swords, stab and slash are going to be really ideal. This is nice so that we can continue, like, I guess, maintaining and not losing as much mercury if and when we die. And then we have stamina recovery, which is pretty optimal and something you're certainly going to need. She doesn't roar, and she's not a large enemy and doesn't use any other kind of damage like that. So these are the best pendants for now. Another thing that is, if you feel like the, for whatever reason, like if you don't have sufficient inner demon and you need that cost of the spell to go down, if you notice it was +3, you can always increase your madness to reduce that cost. So I'm trying to show you the node here. I think while at 50% madness, the Skyborn Might cost of casting echo spells is reduced by 1 stack. So you could use that as well in the event you like to cast spells. That's why it's important to have either the Echo of Lu Bingzhang or this new spell we just picked up, which is the Aurum Feather Force, and they both work pretty well. Aurum Feather Force is a bit cheaper, so it's not bad. Alright, so we're going to be facing off with Honglan right now. This is considered the skill check boss, but in reality, she's more of a knowledge check, making sure that you understand the different mechanics in the game, including things like deflection, alacrity, spell usage, and all that. So it's not so much a skill check as long as you have the knowledge of how to counter some of her moves and then not overly rely on one particular type of strategy. And that is why I think people think she's skill checked, because they think, oh, she's unfair, she's too tanky, what have you. But honestly, she's actually quite balanced. And what we're going to do is we're going to, before we jump in the fight, we're going to temper our weapon, drop down, and make sure we skip the cutscene. She's going to be starting off with lunge attacks, very, very easy to telegraph and read. And every time she does that, you'll initiate your deflection and get 1 to 2 strikes. There's 2 options that she can do on the second strike. She can either retreat, do flips, and throw daggers at you, which you can easily dodge, or she will do an axe kick. And if you have enough Skyborn Might to cast either one of your alacrity spells, go ahead and do it at that moment. If not, just retreat back and then rinse, repeat until phase 2. So in phase 2, we're just going to try and get a big opening and punish when we can. But all in all, we want to try and bait the lunge attack and stay at a range where it's going to force her to lunge for phase 1 and back away after that, because otherwise you have other combos that, although they are relatively easy to counter on your first attempt and first time seeing them, you're going to have some difficulty. So we could go over all the intricacies of the fight, but honestly, just try and stick with this strategy so you don't have to memorize and master every single one of our moves for your first playthrough anyways. Alright, so here we have opening strike. Go ahead and initiate the parry, go for 2 strikes here. Back away. Go for the parry. 2 strikes. Dash forward. You can punish if you want because she has a slow recovery there. Prepare for the parry. Go ahead for 2 strikes. She didn't really reposition there, so we're going to reposition instead. Go for the parry. 2 strikes. On the second strike of that combo, you can parry that. Watch the daggers. Watch for the parry here. Parry. Go for 2 strikes. Parry. Go for 2 strikes. Watch the phase 2 transition. Dodge forward. Oh, okay, never mind. Watch the parry here. We've got the obliteration, so we're going to punish really hard right here. So we're going to go for strike, strike, L1, and then we're going to heal. Watch for the parry. She misses now in phase 2, which is unfortunate, but it's okay. Just keep backing away. What we're waiting for is an attack where she kind of explodes and will really create this huge opening. When you see kind of an aura around her, she's going to shoot water at you. So right there. Watch the daggers. That right there is what we're looking for, but we can stagger her and interrupt. Go for the parry there. Parries are a little bit less reliable now because she has a number of different moves, but every time she does that, easy to telegraph move, we can go ahead and parry. Because why not, right? Right here, we're going to go behind, go for the backstab, and then that should be Hung Lan. That's the attack you want to see. They go down, down, L1, and that's Hung Lan, the skill check fight. So after a brief cutscene, she recognizes that Wuchang is of the Bai lineage, and so she spares us, and we are then kind of taken to this area here with the Reverent Temple key, among other things. And so we're right back to the Reverent Temple. And obviously, some time has passed. So we're going to go down the steps yet again. And we're going to speak with Leenzee. We'll pick up the Red Mercury, and then we're going to exhaust his dialogue. We're going to go down the steps now.
Bless this endeavor and protect us from danger.
We can speak with Jose next if we like. He's making sure we're okay. He's a little concerned about us. You can use the ellipsis ... That's the answer you want to pick. And then ask about the, tell about the Tang Emperor Palace. He's going to give us some Everblend brew and some cured jerky. Some yummy snacks for the long road ahead. And just gives us a little bit of warning against the Taoists. As of 1.5, or patch 1.5, we do have some additional lore here. So we can take a look at that as well. And then we can speak with Yushua. So we had been unconscious for several days, in fact. So now we can go ahead and complete that dialogue. And this guy, of course, isn't going to say much. As per usual. When we rest at the temple, we can take a look at the teleport and see if there's anybody else we need to speak to. It looks like we have Leenzee Chung, but I'll show you exactly where you want to speak with him. Before anything else, guys, before you do anything else at all, warp back to Palace Hill. If you do not warp back to Palace Hill and you proceed forward far enough, the levels and the world is going to experience a certain event, and you will not be able to experience this particular area in the same way anymore. So essentially, warships rise and all of these surrounding areas will be forever changed, and there's no going back. The reason why I warn you to do this and instruct you to do this is because getting every single shrine in the game, which I do believe there's approximately 50 shrines in the game, that is needed to obtain a trophy. And this is a missable trophy because the world does change. So if you drop down where the boss arena was, you can go and see my shameful death spot. I did die on purpose though, because I was kind of using way too much of I'd say like a more difficult strategy, and I was like, you know what, let's change it up entirely. And I ended up just going with the long sword instead. So I hope you guys appreciate that that boss fight and also the more simple approach. So here we're going to activate this shrine. We can go to the Impetus Repository to handle all the things we normally would and see where we can maybe add some points. Let's see. We gain Clash from that part of the combo, or 2 stacks of Skyborn Mine if we go for the 5th strike. Or we can give this some love, which I think would be much more important, and then we can go ahead and change out the Discipline from Block, which is relatively worthless, to Whirlwind. So we have a little bit more, in my opinion, a little bit more use out of the axe. Now what we can do is we can go back and teleport. We're going to go back to Reverent Temple. And trust me, guys, that one is so easy to miss. Going back to certain boss fights, especially after you've been teleported elsewhere, is always something that I would say best practice for any kind of Souls-like, because even in games like Black Myth Wukong, which isn't a Souls-like, it's more of an action adventure, you can see that returning back to areas where you maybe fought a boss that are big arenas, those are going to be very useful for you to go back to, because sometimes there's hidden items and goodies that you would have missed out on. So plenty of Souls-likes also do the same. But for whatever reason, it first reminded me of Wukong, because although it's not a Souls-like, it has very similar mechanics. So as we go down the steps from Reverent Temple, we're going to come this way, grab the budding red mercury, and then we can speak with Leenzee Wuchang. Now, just keep in mind, he's not going to say much here. He's like, how the heck do we get past this door? Well, fortunately for us, we do have the Reverent Temple key, and we just obtained it immediately after defeating Honglan, and when we were kind of, woke up in the temple. So now we can speak with Leenzee Wuchang, and he'll give you some spicy soup.
Beyond this cave,
If you didn't speak to him again, you wouldn't get the spicy soup. So spicy soup is important because from this point forward, we're going to be dealing with a new affliction called frostbite, and I'll go over that in due time, but spicy soup does allow us to counteract the effects of frostbite. So let's go and speak with this individual first, get some more goodies. We'll get the steamed bunny buns. There's nothing in this courtyard over here, but we can run up these steps and continue to hear all the jaded people just talk about how doomed they are, essentially.
Now get lost.
There you go. Like so. And then we're going to come out this courtyard here, and we can either go right to progress forward, or we can go left to grab an optional item. Of course, as I said before, jokingly, there are no optional items. We're getting everything in this playthrough, trust me. We got the faint red feathers, and now we're going to press forward through this little cave here. When we get out to the cold, I'll tell you guys about frostbite and how that works, but for now, we're going to cross this bridge, however dilapidated it may be, and we're not going to turn right just yet. We're going to come up left, and we're going to rush this puppy dog here. Go ahead and pick up the item he was guarding. And then we're going to do the same thing with this enemy up here. I mean, well, there was an enemy. That's interesting. That is very interesting. There used to be a humanoid enemy up here, but instead we're going to grab the steam bunny bun. For free this time. There are no items in here. It's just a dead end. And then we're going to come out here, we're going to rush him, and we're going to get the 3 hits on him, defeat him before he can even turn around, grab this item. The sapphire lotus seeds essentially give us lightning resistance. And we're going to come back over here around the scaffolding, or this makeshift little bridge here. We're going to go down the ladder. And essentially what we're doing is we've now cleared the Tong Palace. We are making our way towards the next area, which is Hill's Watch, that eventually leads to Cloud Spire, and that's the snowy area. So watch for the ambush right here. There you go. Took him out. We're going to grab this item, and then we have another gesture puzzle, so you can take a look and read it. It says Master Tai Chi, so what we're going to do is look for the Tai Chi emoji or gesture here, and if we don't have it, we can replace it, then we can use it, and it just looks so awesome. A lot of the gestures are really nice, very well animated. But we'll do this, and this is going to grant us, of course, some goodies. Gesture puzzles are really nice because they usually give you things that you can't normally get very easily. So red mercury essence is essentially a free level, and then we can come back over here this way. We're going to grab this item, cross this natural land bridge, do the same thing over here, and then grab this item right over here. Divination crescents, things we'll probably never use. We're going to take this lift down and go deeper into this area. This is going to allow us to come up and out to the area, or the little village of Hill's Watch. And then we'll clear Hill's Watch, and right at the snowy passage that leads to Cloud Spire, we will be ending this episode. That way we can at least have cleared Tong Palace and all the intermediate areas in between. So we will be looking for the armor and equipping all that in the next episode that has the best frost resistance, and eventually we're going to get an outfit that has very, very solid defenses against that frostbite, and we can always use a series of other items to kind of counteract and mitigate the frostbite. But frostbite, fortunately, is not an affliction that causes pain. It just messes with your stamina, so it's not that bad at all. So now is certainly the time to talk about it. We can take out those 2 enemies. But frostbite, when you get afflicted with it, your stamina bar gets cut in half. So it can be a problem if you're trying to, fight enemies and you're kind of not very well, versed in managing your stamina. But honestly, I never used any of the soups because I thought I would just like, the penalty wasn't nearly that bad. I thought it was going to be a pain over time, I was like, oof, that's going to be rough. Because I was playing naked the very first time. I did a no armor challenge run, and now I'm jumping into a spells only challenge run offside, but I kind of was a tangent. But anyways, let's go ahead and take out this red eye enemy. Wait for him to open up with his strikes here. It's 6 strikes. There you go. We'll go for the backstab. But yeah, all in all, I think that the afflictions and all that are relatively fair. Like, none of them feel broken. I was thinking, I was expecting, damage over time with the frostbite. But we get some crafting materials there, a brilliant feather, and of course a red mercury essence for leveling. We can go straight ahead, and we're going to grab this item right here. And as of patch 1.5, you no longer have to wait 5 minutes for this lift to come down. It's actually going to be coming down 3 times as fast as it normally did. But when you're on the lift, for loading purposes, to ensure that the game does load smoothly, it will go the normal speed up. But that's actually not that bad, because considering I actually thought this mechanism did nothing the first time I played. I was like, wait, what the heck is going on? And everybody in chat was like, no, just sit there for a few minutes. So now they've sped up the lift, at least on the way down, so when you call them, they come to you much faster. But when you do ride them up, it's still the same speed, but hey, I'm not worried about that. No loading times, or at least masking the loading times, is always much preferred in my opinion. So when we get to the top of the lift, we're going to hear some sobbing, and we've got pretty much a sad sight before us. Hill's Watch is not in good shape. But more on that in due time. Wuchang looks absolutely amazing. So many of her armors are just so intricate and they just look fantastic. Alright. So, as we reach the top, we hear some sobbing there. There's a crying NPC. She is not evil, and she's not, so you can't harm her anyways. You can't harm NPCs in this game, period. So don't worry about that. Get the Emerald Lotus Seed on the left side of this cliff here. We're going to pass her for now. This is the second riddle door. Already 2 doors nearly back to back. But what we're going to be doing is answering this one correctly. There's absolutely no reason to not answer this one correctly. So the correct answer for this one is challenge the threads of fate. If you follow the course of destiny, you actually get teleported to an area that you would already go through anyway, so it's an absolute waste, and you miss out on the goodies on the other side. So 100% of the time, you can always answer this correctly with challenge the threads of fate, so that you can get some additional goodies and armor. These were, of course, in the cave that we were just at. Had we looked to the top left, we would have been able to see them very clearly, this giant golden item right here, and we were just down there not too long ago. So we can grab this first, and we can grab our new set, which is going to be the bridal veil, the corset, shackles, and dress. Is the full set actually. So you typically get the full set for most things, except if it's like specific to a side quest, you might get pieces of it at a time. So we can go ahead and chat with the female servant. She's saying it's in pretty bad shape over there, and if you are going to go over there, please check in for the family. We're gonna see to the right, we have Chao Ying, which is at this point pretty much starving. So we need to see if we can help her out. So let's chat with her when she's done complaining. And we definitely want to give Chao Ying some of the food items that we have. So we're gonna hand over the steamed bunny bun. And now she's feeling much better. She gives us some divination crescents, which again, not the most useful item, but hey, it's fine. We'll exhaust the dialogue, and then we can activate the shrine. This is the shrine at Hill's Watch, which is kind of the middle area in between Tang Palace and Cloud Spire. Let's go ahead and activate the shrine. At this point in time, we still don't have to worry about Frostbite just yet, so there's no need to do any of that. If you want, you can go ahead and enter the dream if for whatever reason you sustain damage and you need to heal, so I'll do that alongside with you. We haven't used any mana vases though, so we're in good shape. And now we can come up. We're going to go up all the way straight up this staircase to the dead end. And we're going to grab this item here. This is actually going to end up becoming a shortcut. So as you can tell, when you see these little candles here, if you look up and around, you're typically going to see a ladder. We'll be dropping that ladder down in due time. We're going to be introduced to a new enemy if we take this hard left here, and it's kind of like an exploding enemy. I always call them sploders. I don't know the official name, but there is a very specific timing to completely nullify their effects. They rush you and then explode. As soon as they cross their arms, just go ahead and dash or dodge, and you will completely nullify that. So there you go, dodge, and we've completely nullified the damage. So I really strongly suggest never using any kind of sword strikes or anything on them, because you're going to have to deal with typically more than one of them at the same time, and you don't want people exploding around you doing all that. So just instead try and master that dodge timing. So grab the item down, this dead body, kill the cuckoo, and I want to take note of something right here. Keep in mind that this here is a point of no return for certain quest lines. If you were to break the carriages and carts, move forward, and then progress all the way to the other side of where the cave lets out, you would actually be skipping the entirety of Chapter 2. Chapter 2 is, of course, marked by Cloud Spire and that entire region, and so there's lots of side quests and NPC encounters that you would miss out on. So technically, if you go this route, you're skipping Chapter 2 and breaking quest lines for sure. But you can always go this route and then come back and clear out Chapter 2, but there's going to be a lot less encounters in terms of NPCs and quest lines, and it just doesn't make tons of sense to do that. So you will actually be placed here at a proper time whenever we speak with a certain NPC after we clear out much later in the game. So don't go this route unless you don't really care about collecting everything and you just want to kind of get through the game. You can skip straight to the next chapter. The game allows you to skip 2 chapters. There's 5 chapters in total, and when we get to the next save point, I'll show you how chapters work, because a lot of people get a lot of confusion about that. But anyways, let's go ahead and read this lore, and then we're going to face off with a handful more of those sploders, as I like to call them. I feel like that's a name for a zombie character, like in a zombie game. So here we can see that there's an item, but we can't actually reach it, so we're going to circle around, and we need to be very careful because there will be a female servant enemy coming down here. I like to lock onto her, and she'll rush usually and do something crazy. When she does that, she gets knocked down, so then that's a perfect opportunity to rush her and then just defeat her. So now that she's dead, we can safely explore the rest of the shack or whatever it is, this dilapidated home. And then we're going to come over here and grab this item, drop down, and just so that you know, this particular area has a lot of little secrets that are nice to... I actually missed a handful on the way here. It's the first time. But anyways, this right here is a jar mimic. We'll go ahead and take her out. Wait for her to commit to a strike. Remember, they're pretty tanky. We'll see how she likes the axes. Yeah, the axe does tons of stagger damage, so it's pretty solid for her. We're going to go ahead and grab the Kong wine along with our goodies that she gave us, and then we can rush this puppy dog over here. We'll pick up the item he was guarding, and then if you look closely as we're walking up this set of steps, if you look to the left, you can see an item on the roof. That's the item I missed on my first kind of playthrough, if you will. Jump off here, grab the item, and then come up to the side. There's a nice little rock there for you so you don't take any fall damage. We'll get our soft rush. More items that we'll never use, but hey, we're hoarders. We're going to come up here, and there's going to be a series of enemies. These standard feathered enemies, and also some sploders. So if you want, you can read more lore. It's kind of all going to be about the same. Pretty much they had to abandon this area. It's in bad shape. Grab the item to the left. I'm going to heal while we're waiting. We'll take this guy out. And as the sploder comes, crosses his arms, we're going to go ahead and dodge. We'll go for our little combo here. As he crosses his arms, we're going to dodge. Completely nullify the damage there. And that cloud of smoke, or that pink mist, That beautiful pink mist we love to see. That is not poison or anything like that. It's just, you know, for aesthetics, so you're fine. So as we progress forward, you can go straight to go all the way to the Snowy Passage, but we won't do that yet. We're going to come left first. Make another left and speak to the NPC in this home here.
Another in the world we find us.
And then we're going to come down these steps. And we can examine, using the examine gesture, this little, I don't know, it's like a little tombstone type thing. When Wuchang comes back up, you're going to see we have a new item here. And this is an incredibly important quest item that's going to be needed for 2 of the items in the game. So we get the shoe, silk scarf. Let's go ahead and release this ladder. This is the ladder that we were just staring up at from down below at that dead end. But the shoe, silk scarf is going to be needed for an NPC we're going to meet a little bit later on. She is critical to the plot of the game and the endings as well. There's a big back, as I like to call them, right up ahead. He's just a strange enemy, but we want to go ahead and use our temperance, switch to the health, and we're going to rush this enemy really quickly. If you can get behind him, go ahead and initiate a backstab, and then go crazy with your R1 spam. If you're using Lashing Whip, go for the R1 spam again, and then you can, if you need to, use your weapon ability to finish him off. We're going to get the Coral Bracelet, which, surprisingly enough, is not an item we can wear. It's a quest item. Let's go ahead and take out this enemy next. Clear out this home. Grab the goodies. And that's the extent of the items here. I will show you, but there is nothing else in this area. Just a cliff and just death down below. So nothing fancy there. With the Coral Bracelet in hand, we can now go back and return to the female servant who was crying on the Hillswatch Bridge. So we're going to be coming down here, taking the shortcut that we just activated, and then speaking to the female servant. Let's go ahead and chat with her really quickly. The Coral Bracelet will be the item that she requires to kind of progress her quest line. Xiao Ying has now moved on. She's, what, you give that woman some dumplings and she's off. So I know people like that in real life. All right, so hand over the Coral Bracelet. We get some faint red a faint red feather and some spicy soups. She's now really upset because unfortunately her husband has passed away. And what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and close out her quest line. And to do that officially, we can go ahead and enter the dream. And sadly, as with most Souls-likes, the NPCs and their side quests seldom end happily. So, you know, pretty much she ends up dying or ending her life in whatever manner she saw fit, and now we can go ahead and press forward. But sad story, unfortunately. You know, with the feathering and everything going on, the conflicts between all the different groups, there are pretty much no survivors, no happy endings right now. So we're going to take this shortcut back. This is a nice safe route. We don't have to fight anybody, even though we did enter the dream and technically respawn everybody. Nobody's here because we've cleared out everything in our immediate path. So to make a right, cross this bridge, and then make a left. This is going to lead us up a set of steps that can take us to Bai Wuchang. And he's not in good shape because he just got beat by Inhuman, which is technically an optional boss in the next area. But we're going to be actually fighting him for the sake of completion here. So he's talking about Inhuman and how he used some of his tricks and he got bested. He's also no longer has his gear, his fighting gear. So what we're going to do is we're going to help him look for it. We're going to grab this item right here that's tucked away, pretty sneakily hidden. And we're going to come up this set of steps right here. There's an item up there, but instead of just rushing towards the steps, look around for a little bit and see if you can find some more goodies, right? So we're going to come this way. We're going to grab this item here. And that's going to give us some more lightning resistance, which will be much needed a lot later on. We're not going to need that right now, anytime soon, in fact. So we can go ahead and pick up this item now and kill the cuckoo. Tons of spicy soup, like I said, though. It's entirely up to you if you want to use it. The spicy soup does give you resistance against the frostbite, which we're going to be dealing with later, but it's largely not necessary because the half in stamina isn't at the end of the world. So here we have two NPCs. They're actually friendly. There are outcomes we can have for Li Dunguo, which is this individual here, and his partner's son, Kewang. But ultimately, all we need to do is exhaust their dialogue, and they're going to give us a few more things, maybe some Kong wine so we can sip with him, and then he's going to give us some items as well, just to make sure we're safe on our journey, so spicy soups. Once we speak with both of them, that's actually all you need to do for now. We can cross this bridge here. But there is a way to get an alternate outcome for Li Dunguo, and I'll tell you exactly what the breakpoint is and what the outcome is when that time comes. So as of patch 1.5, you can't kill these individuals here. Essentially, they're unarmed individuals that are picking red mercury and herbs and stuff. Red mercury in particular looks like for the rebels and all that against their will, but you can't harm them. So before you could, and now you can't. So it's, I mean, again, not a big deal, but just a change that I did want to make note of, because some people were really having a fuss about that for some reason. But go ahead and temper your weapon. Prepare for big back number 2. He has this attack here. You want to just go ahead and dash. Get the backstab if you can. If not, when he gets up, go for another backstab attempt. And then we can go ahead and spam R1. Go for the R1, spam some more. We don't need to use our weapon ability. He's in bad shape right there. So we're going to grab the red mercury shoot. We're going to grab a faint red feather, and there's nothing here, okay? So don't even try jumping down or anything like that. You will die. I've done it before. I'm telling you because it looks like, hey, there could be something down there. There isn't, I promise. So here we have another individual that we can't kill. It's an unarmed civilian there. And then we have this guy, an archer. New type of enemy. Watch the arrows. Go for the R1 spam and weapon ability as soon as you can. Killing him gives you the rebel orders. The rebel orders is just a valuable that kind of gives you a little bit of lore what's going on. So essentially they're saying, look, nobody can pass. Have the people gather herbs, crystals, and other supplies, and that's exactly what they're doing. So we can grab this here, which is the tattered pack. Remember, Leenzee Wuchang said he lost his gear. Well, here we have a tattered pack full of valuables. So looks to be the belongings of someone who hails themselves as a great hero. So we're going to be giving this back to Leenzee Wuchang. And you don't want to press forward yet, because if you do, Leenzee Wuchang will kind of, you can break his questline if you press too far forward. So instead, just go right back. He's only a few paces away. We're going to give him his tattered pack, and we have a very important decision to make that's going to determine the outcome of his questline. As I said in the very first episode, all of the side quests do have alternate outcomes, and we're of course going to be covering all of those. And in this guide, I'll show you how to obtain the best outcome. But most of them, as per usual, follow the Souls-like sadness that we're accustomed to seeing. So, all right, so we can hand over the tattered pack. And here, what we can do is we can either choose to expose Leenzee Wuchang, which will eventually lead us down the alternate outcome where Leenzee Wuchang will become hostile. Or we can remain silent and not expose him or embarrass him, and he will become, he'll remain, I guess, friendly, but in the end, his outcome is still relatively sad. But it's better than the other outcome where he becomes hostile and we have to outright defeat him and kill him. And if we remain silent, he has a slightly more positive outcome. No spoilers, right? We get the sorry gesture regardless of which choice we make. And after we've exhausted his dialogue, we can now go ahead and press forward. So that was a critical choice you could make there for Leenzee Wuchang's questline. And it's up to you. In either case, just so that you know, as it pertains to getting like armor sets or weapons, those are attainable through either outcome, which is something I absolutely love about this game. In most Souls-likes, if you choose outcome A versus outcome B, you get completely different rewards. And although it does encourage and incentivize replayability, it doesn't necessarily give you, it's kind of annoying because if you're a completionist, you have to go through again, or you maybe can't get everything in one single file, and it really sucks. So now we're at the Snowy Passage Shrine. Always check the shrine to make sure it's not a mimic. And if you want, you could always chat with Wukong, and that item there will give you more spicy soups. But we're going to do that in the next episode. So let's go ahead and activate the shrine. Make sure that we rest. We're going to double check our teleportation and see if there's anybody we need to speak with. That's always a great thing to do, especially on your first playthrough. just go and check and see, do I need to chat with anybody? We have Snowy Passage. That's the area we're currently at, so it looks like we're in excellent shape. And guys, that is going to bring this episode to an end. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you found any value out of it, please be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. It lets me know you want more content like this, and it motivates me to keep pushing out these awesome videos for you guys. I absolutely love Wuchang Fallen Feathers, and I hope I'm showing it in the best light so you guys can also appreciate it as much as I do. I want to say thank you all so much for being the best part of my channel. Be sure to click on the videos on screen, and I will be there to guide you when you arrive. Until next time, it's the Inhuman one signing out.